Hey everyone, welcome. I'm your host, Rae Irelan. You're listening to the Soul Aligned podcast, where we help high achieving leaders and driven visionaries do what you love and live your purpose. And so I'm just super excited to have my friend Kyle on today. And we're going to be chatting about how to build a legacy. What does that mean? What does it look like? How to leave a positive influence using business. And so let's just dive right in because I feel like you have a unique story, and also you're living out a unique story, and that's kind of what we're going to bring to the table today. But to begin, I was curious, like, from a young age, did you always want to be like involved with business? I know you also have this like artist side, so I'm curious, like, when you were a little boy, like, what was that dream for you?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great question. I think yes. The short answer is yes. When I think back to my earliest memories of business, I think back to when I was in like third grade. Like I baked a bunch of muffins with my friend. We took them to Blockbuster and we like set up a shop like right outside the walkway in front of Blockbuster, and we peddled muffins and cookies and stuff. And we made like $300 in a day. And I remember coming home and like counting all the money, and then we do it again the next weekend, and we do it again the next weekend. And then as things evolved and as I got older, the ventures changed a little bit, and the hustles evolved into like, I saw that everyone was starting to smoke weed. And so I, instead of selling the weed, I decided I was going to sell swishers because I had a brother who was 18 and everyone wanted to smoke blunts. So I'd sell the swishers at like $2 a swisher, or if you buy them in bulk, you get a deal. And so I could be the middleman, right? And then that changed into throwing parties. So I used to host these like dance parties. I'd hire a DJ, I'd rent out a venue, and I'd get security and an insurance policy. And I'd set up a couple promoters from different schools, and I'd say, hey, you can come to the dance for free if you just invite your network. And so they promote the dance. I had a Facebook event, or back in the day, or MySpace event,
Yeah.
like whatever. And, and I'd send all the traffic there, and yeah, I would sell out my event. It'd be like 200 people could fit, and I'd have 300. So I'd have 100 out the door. Anytime someone left, we put another person in, and we charge at the door, and we'd also charge for water. I made most of my money on the water. And that first time I did it, I came home and I made $3,000 in one night in cash profit. And at 15, 16 years old, like, that's a lot of money. And so I got very excited about it, but it was really stressful. I remember telling my parents, like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. This is really stressful.
I love that story. And it's just so awesome because I think at a young age, like, there is this connection to, like, we know in some way like what we want to be doing in the future, but like we just have no idea what we're doing. We're just like throwing stuff out there, like the muffins, or you're like, okay, whatever. And just like, I love that, like, the freeness that we get to experience. So tell us a little bit more about like what you're doing now and how you got into it.
Yeah, so what I do now is I partner with health and wellness companies and brands, and I use video marketing and storytelling and influencer campaigns to uh, drive more sales. And I'm building a community in my own platform around biohacking and health and wellness and lifestyle optimization, for lack of a better phrase, and sort of doing this two-prong approach where I'm helping my clients behind the scenes create content and create marketing for their companies internally, but then also like putting my name behind the ones that are really aligned with my message and promoting them that way as a partner, as an affiliate. And who knows what it's going to evolve into as time goes on. But the mission of the company now, as it's growing, is becoming to make it cool and sexy to live well and to be healthy. So just as cool as it is to go out and party and drink and live that type of lifestyle, my goal is really to make it equally as cool and sexy to go to bed at 10 p.m. and to meditate and to take care of yourself and eat good food and have good movement practice and all the things. And so that was born out of my own pain of just dealing with different health challenges along the way, brought on by stress and also just complex things that I think a lot of people suffer from, but they don't really know is there, like leaky gut and a mold infection and other things like that. And yeah, just trying to figure out answers, and then realizing that, wow, like there's so much misinformation out there, and there's also like when someone can synthesize and simplify everything, it actually becomes pretty clear and pretty easy to execute and to make really good progress on your health goals. But the derivative was I ended up in that place because I really treated my body pretty poorly, and I didn't understand self-care. I didn't understand what it meant to have a healthy relationship with your body, and that probably put me in a bad situation that led to those events. And if I was when I was young, I had saw someone who looked like me, talked like me, walked like me. I'm 26 years old at the time of recording this. I'm wearing a hat and like a baggy shirt. I kind of look like a skater, and that's always been my look, and it's always been part of my brand. And people have told me, Kyle, like your image is it's so cool. It's like it's so hip. As that, just saying that makes me sound old, but what I realized is that, yeah, if there was someone who like was creating content in the way that I like to consume it, in the trendy sort of now way that people actually like to digest information, um, it, and they were talking about this health stuff, it would have made it a lot more engaging and enticing to live this type of lifestyle. So that's really the goal.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. And I think it's what a lot of people are wanting now, is like to have that business that is aligned with everything that connects to their personal life as well, and to like not have it be two separate things. It's like, okay, how can I bring everything that's a part of me, like you're doing the biohacking, the content creation, the community space, and put that as like the core pillars of your business. And I think people like get drawn to it because it's your energy, it's something new, it's fresh.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. There's that's very intentional, and that comes from this exercise that I did called the soul print values. And basically, I was doing really well in my videography career. Like before I started working with health and wellness brands, I was working with online entrepreneurs and coaches and experts, and I still do that because I have a reputation in that space and in that industry, and I have a lot of friends and clients in that space. But what I found was I was starting to get a little burnt out, and I realized that I was getting burnt out because my values weren't imbued in the company. Coaching is amazing and it's super transformational, and I've hired coaches, but I wasn't always buying online programs and buying coaching all the time. But yet I was like marketing it and selling it and helping my clients get their message out to the world, which is great. And like when I can get behind a company whose products I use every day, like my passion bleeds through the art and through the marketing, and it makes it so much more enrolling and effective. And it feels very fulfilling to me because it's something that I already know works. And therefore it gives me great joy and great pleasure to share that with other people. And so, yeah, I was feeling burnt out. I was in Croatia at Mind Valley University, and I was listening to Vishen Lakiani, the CEO, talk about how he was having trouble with his business at one point, and he took himself through this exercise, this soul print values exercise. He realigned his values. He imbued them into his company. He lost like a third of his company, like all of his, like a third of his employees quit. But then like he like doubled his business like year over year, something crazy. Like he just grew his business exponentially over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 years. And he directly attributes it to getting in alignment with these values. And so that's basically what I did. And then over the course of the last 6 to 8 months, I've been like, yeah, transitioning in this direction. And it's actually crazy how well things start lining up and how the universe gets your back when you get into alignment. And Rae, I mean, I know you know this so well, but that's sort of what happened. And that's why it is just all the parts of me. It is the community part, it is the biohacking part, it is the content creation and the marketing part. So all these parts become one, right? And there's total integration there.
Yeah, and I really want to highlight something for whoever's like watching or listening to this. is the piece where you were literally burnt out, and when you realigned your passion into what you were doing, the burnout changed into something that was actually then fueling you to move forward, to be more creative, to expand. And so it's almost like a hack in itself, is like when you find yourself getting burnt out, and I know I've been in this situation many times, is like to check what's going on when you are in that burnt out space. Like, does something need to shift, so that way you can be really feeling that passion moving forward, and like problem solving in a way where you're not just repeating what you're doing, even though it might be working from the outside, or you're hitting the numbers, but really like checking in with yourself.
Yeah, I mean it's tough too when it's working, you
Mhm.
know? Like I if you talk to anyone in this space, like they'll tell you that I'm like the go-to guy when it comes to making videos. And I built up this reputation. I spent so much time and energy like isolating and going after like the top people in the space and like making a name for myself. And some people even now are telling me like, Kyle, like, why are you throwing that away? Like you worked so hard to get to that positioning. And I'm not, it's like all that stuff is something that I can build on, that I still have those connections and I have those experiences to reference from and draw from. And I learned so much and I made a lot of money there. And, we're human beings that need to evolve. And so thus I cannot allow myself to just stay there, like life is meant to be experienced, not just um, done, not just
Absolutely.
accomplished.
Hmm. And I'm curious, I had a different question, but now this conversation's making me think of something else. In terms of legacy, for you, is there a legacy that you are actively looking to build and to create and to leave on this planet through what you're creating? Or do you feel like the legacy is kind of being created like along the way? I'm curious if there's like intentionality behind it, or if there's a little bit more of a um, fluid space with it.
I think it's both. Uh, on the one hand, yeah, like the legacy that I'm thinking about is changing the culture scape around health. And like I think especially right now, I think we're at an amazing time in history because of what happened with the coronavirus. People are now hyper vigilant of their health, and I don't know if as many people will take their health for granted ever again. And I think what I'm seeing wellness become like a trend. Like it's like really becoming popular. And right now, like if you look at the stats around meditation and the stats around sleep, and how these two ideas are becoming popularized, and if you look at where the culture is going, like I'm seeing a lot of good signals that point in the right direction. And so when I think about legacy and like where I fit into the equation in terms of changing the culture scape around the conversation around health and how people think about their own personal well-being, I think that I can lead a company that will be able to really push that movement forward, because it's my belief that media dictates what people think. And if I can work with the most influential companies in the space, as well as build a big platform and community myself, then I'll be able to touch hundreds of millions of people through my videos. And so if I'm the one controlling the narrative, then I believe that, yeah, there's a huge legacy opportunity there. And what it really looks like is just like I'm just building what I want, which is I just want everyone to be as nerdy as I am about my health. So then we can all hang out and do health related things instead of go out to the bars. Like it's a very selfish, motivation of just, it's just like I'm scratching my own itch. Like I'm building community of people who value their health. They value like deep connection and relationships and community. They value personal growth and expansion, and they value all the things, that I was made fun of for, that I was criticized for, that I was given a hard time for by my friends in high school and college. And now I'm celebrated for them in my circle. And that's like that. That's why I live in the house that I live in, which is an entrepreneur house, and it was all with the same intention of like, okay, we value community, we value health, we value growth and accomplishment in business, we value giving, and philanthropy, and bringing people together and all these things. And I think the underpinning of everything that I do is living with intention. And yeah, you nailed it on the head with that. Now on the other side of the coin though, I have a cloudy vision of like what this looks like in terms of my execution for the company. And the company's name right now is Lifestyle Multipliers. I'm building out my personal brand, but literally the only purpose of that is to funnel people towards the actual brand. And I have much more experience building personal brands than I do like full-fledged brands. So I'm starting with my personal brand and I'm moving it into that. And I imagine it could be a media company. I imagine it could be, we might launch an e-commerce company, like a product, like I could see us being like a Gymshark or something like that. But I don't know. But I'm feeling very divinely guided, and I'm feeling very looked after in terms of the direction that I'm going right now.
Mm-hmm. I love this. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think it's so cool how you really are holding both of like this strong vision and intention, but also like I hear a lot of like, um, there's just a lot of different possibilities of the direction that it can be going in and like what step to take. A lot of people I talk to end up getting kind of stuck in that space. Like they feel like if things aren't all laid out, they have a hard time kind of choosing and continuing to move forward because it's almost like things are so scattered. So I'm curious how you deal with that, or like how you use that to your advantage to like keep things moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is it, right? Which is like, and this is something that I've only learned to, that I'm practicing it, if I'm being honest. And it's something that I'm really surrendering to, which is just this unlimited trust, and every time in my life, whenever I've surrendered to just the greater forces at play, it always seems to work out for me. And I've had some experiences in the last 6 months that have really opened my eyes to just that we're always looked after and we're always taken care of. And it sounds very esoteric. And I know the people listening are into the spirituality side of things, but I'll just say this, like I had a conversation with God and she told me that it was going to be all right. And I believe her. and, and, and so I think along the way, as we grow up, it's really easy to lose trust in ourselves or in God or in the universe or in other people or in the world or in politics. And I think that the practice and the journey that we are gifted with is I guess just the acceptance or the unbecoming, of what we're actually not, because when you're a child, it's just like there's no worry, there's no anticipation of the future. It's just like this is going to work and I'm going to go do it. And I'm doing my very best to return to that state because I believe we all know what we're supposed to do on a deep level, even if it's not clear. There's a whisper, and if we quiet down the noise a bit, we can listen and we can hear the omens, and they will point us in the right direction. And so right now, I'm just following the omens and asking for guidance and continually looking for the clues. And when the clues show up, I say, of course, thank you so much. I graciously receive these and I can't wait for more. And that's kind of how I'm doing it. And I also, on a more logical, practical side of things, I also know that I'll never figure it out trying to work through it in my head, and if I tried to figure out how my business was going to look throughout my career, like a year or 2 or 3 years in advance, like I'd be completely wrong every time. Like things change so fast and you adapt and evolve. And so I love to veer on the side of action with in a direction, right? So I know I'm going this way. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I'll figure it out by taking action, and that will tell me what I don't want, and that will tell me what I do want, and that way I can make adjustments accordingly.
Mm. Totally. It's like going on an awesome like road trip, you know? It's like if you plan out every gas station that you're going to be stopping at, and like how lame would that be, you know? And you're like, "Okay, we'll get the Cheetos at this stop and then the fruit at the next stop," and you know, it like takes the whole fun out of the adventure. So I'm really like picking up on that. Like even if you just have a business, like allow there to be some mystery that gets to unfold, and like also this like playful quality of I like keep going back to your story about like selling muffins at like the movie theater. It's like, yeah, you just went for it. Like, you know,
No big deal.
you get to see like, okay, does this work, does it not, and adjust along the way. But taking that action is really first and foremost.
Yeah, and like look, I still get stuck sometimes, like but that's again one of the values of living in the house that I have is like every Monday I'm checking in with all my roommates, and like we're bringing our biggest challenge to the meeting, and we're talking about it. And so I have great accountability systems set up, and so when I do hit a rut, or when I do hit a wall, or when I do hit a stop, like I ask for support. You know, and so there it's I love the duality of life. It's I'm learning to really appreciate it. There is the surrender and the magic and the flow, and then there's the hustle and the action and the numbers and the logic and the planning, and somewhere in between is the hologram where everything sort of really comes to life. And so knowing that, just ebbing in and out of each side, you can really start to dance with life in a beautiful way where yes, you're you know, you're making progress, and you're hitting your goals, and things are happening, and all this stuff is happening in the physical world, but also like you're getting to enjoy the process, and you're feeling divinely guided, and you're feeling protected, and you're feeling loved for and cared for, and things are happening in total synchronicity, and it's like magic is just conjured in your life. And so we get to experience both.
Absolutely. It's life, right? It's a beautiful dance that we get to jump into if we so choose. I'm curious, is there any like last words that you have for anyone that's watching that, you know, might be in a place of they're in their first few years of business, and, you know, just all the stuff that kind of comes up around like, okay, I want to make an impact. I want to, you know, leave this legacy. Can I even do it? And like, you know, all the questions that come up. What would you say to someone in that space?
um I would say two things. I would say that you like life is a game, and you get to choose which game you want to play, and you get to design the rules, and you get to set up the levels, and that can be whatever it is that you want it to be. And whatever reality or whatever constructs have been placed on you or that you're living in is really irrelevant. And so if you have an idea or there's something pulling you in this direction, then I would just look at it and try to design it in the way that you think would be the most fulfilling, and you know, really reverse engineer how you want your life to look. And I really believe that we can have that. And then on the other hand, the other thing that I would say is that I would really shoot for your ikigai, which is a Japanese concept, and it's basically like what you're good at, what the market will pay for, and what do you actually enjoy. And when you find the intersection of all three of those, you got you got something. And I would just really try to anchor into that, because a lot of people, they get really gung ho about their passion, but maybe the market doesn't want it, or maybe you're not actually that good at your passion, and that's going to be a heartbreaker, and it's going to be super tough. But if you find something that you do enjoy, and the market does want to pay for it, and you're actually good at it, like you have skill, or you're willing to put in the time and energy and effort to develop that skill, then I think you have a really good shot at making a decent living for yourself. And you can make money literally doing almost anything now. So don't limit yourself.
Mm, yes. Don't limit yourself. Leaving it there. It's so important to hear. I mean, I think we could have all heard that 1,000 more times growing up. And even every day in our adult lives, you know. So thank you for sharing that. And I just absolutely love like the everything that you stand for, and um, every conversation we've had, there's just such a genuine sense of you like really listening and being true to yourself and true to your heart and like creating from that space. And it's just like, I think, you know, if you want to leave a positive influence through your business, like do it in the in-betweens, like in those conversations that you're having with whoever is right in front of you. And then that energy like ripples out into everything you do, everything you're offering, all of the client relations and all of that. So thank you so much for sharing and being on here. And I hope everyone that's been listening or watching, I hope you've been really enjoying this. There's definitely some big nuggets that you can take away. So we'll go ahead and finish it off there. Um, Again, thank you everyone for checking out this video. And if you do want to check out others, subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't yet. And we'll see y'all soon. Thanks so much, Kyle.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.